Okay, so you know the drill with the deep dive, right? You've handed us a bunch of sources, stuff you want to get the gist of, and our job is to, well, get to that gist, right? Like the core insights, without having to wade through a ton of material ourselves. And today, we're diving into Simon Sinek's Start With Why. I mean, you've heard of it.
Oh, yeah. Big one.
Yeah, so we're going to try and figure out what he's saying about, why some leaders and organizations just totally get you,
Yeah.
inspire you to act, and others just don't, right?
Right, right. It's like a charisma thing almost, right? But for a whole company or even like a movement.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about them. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump in. So Sinek, right off the bat, he says most companies and people even, they get stuck on explaining what they do. Like we make this or we do that, products, services, you name it. And then maybe they'll tell you how they do it, like what makes them special or different.
Yeah, the features and benefits kind of spiel, right? All very logical, very dot practical, like a spec sheet almost.
Totally. But here's the thing. These days, everyone's selling pretty much the same stuff, right? Features, prices, quality, even the service is like comparable. So then what?
Competition gets fierce.
It does. And that's where, as Sinek puts it, the manipulation starts. The limited time offers, the crazy discounts, you got to get it now, or everyone else is doing it, you'll miss out. All that jazz.
Oh, yeah. We all fall for it at some point.
I know I have. But does it really create that lasting impact? I mean, think about those car companies and those constant cashback deals.
Oh, for sure. People just waited for the next one, became like cashback junkies.
Exactly. As soon as those deals vanished, sales plummeted. No real loyalty, no connection to the brand itself.
Nope, just a transaction. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Remember that super thin Motorola RAZR phone? Everyone went crazy for it, then poof, gone.
Right. Novelty wears off so fast. True game changers, like think the internet or Wayback, the printing press, it's different. They change how we live. Adding another camera to your phone. Useful, sure, but not quite the same impact. So Sinek says if focusing on what and how W leads to these, fleeting interactions, what's the better way?
That's where his golden circle comes in. Think 3 circles, like a target.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The outer circle, that's your what? The stuff you actually do, sell, whatever. Next circle in, that's your HOW. Processes, values, what makes you different. And then right in the bullseye, the core, that's your WHY.
The WHY. Okay, so what's the WHY then?
The big WHY, your purpose. The reason you even exist as a company or even as a person, right? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? What do you believe in?
Deep stuff.
It is. And Sinek says truly inspiring leaders and companies, they communicate from the inside out. They start with that WHY, why they do what they do. Then comes the HOW, the processes, and then finally the what, the actual products or services. Most just do it backwards.
Starting with what they're selling.
Exactly. But people, we don't just buy products, we buy into beliefs. We buy into that WHY. The product, that's just proof of the WHY. Take Apple. They're not just about making cool gadgets, right? The WHY, it's about challenging the norm, empowering individuals. The HOW, that's their sleek design, intuitive tech. And the what, that's all the iPhones, Macs, all that, and their marketing. It always reflects this, right? Think different, that whole vibe.
Right. I get that. But what about those other companies, the ones who maybe had the tech first but didn't take off the same way?
Like Creative Technology, they actually had a portable MP3 player before Apple. But they marketed it on specs. 5 gigabytes of storage, Apple came in with the iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Same tech, different story.
Appealing to a feeling.
Exactly. Freedom, convenience. And remember when Dell tried to get into MP3 players and those handheld
I
organizers?
vaguely remember that, yeah. What happened?
They had the products, the know-how, but it flopped. Their WHY was all about computers. It just didn't translate. They weren't truly about those other things, not deep down.
Makes sense. So when customers connect with your WHY, it's deeper than just liking your stuff. It's like they believe in the same things you believe in, right?
Yeah. It's about loyalty beyond just a transaction. Like, think Ferrari. That red color, for their fans, it's not just paint. It's history, passion, everything Ferrari stands for. You wouldn't feel the same way about, say, a minivan color.
True. So we have the golden circle, WHY, how W, Wadi. But Sinek says to make it work, you need these things to align. He calls it clarity, discipline, and consistency.
Clarity is knowing your WHY deeply. Discipline is sticking to your values, the HOW, and making sure it always reflects your WHY. And consistency, that's ensuring everything you do, the what, is proof of your WHY and how W.
A lot to keep straight.
It is, but when it works, it's powerful. Authenticity, trust, they just flow from there. If not, you're back to those manipulations to get people's attention.
Take Southwest Airlines. They're all about making flying affordable, accessible to everyone, right? That's their WHY.
Their how W is keeping costs low, but also it's treating their employees well, which then translates to good customer service. And the what, that's their flights, their whole no-frills approach. It all fits. People are loyal to them beyond just the cheap fares.
Because they trust them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like if you're on a date and the person is just bragging about their achievements but doesn't share anything about who they are, what they believe in.
Red flag.
Right. You might be impressed, but would you really connect with them?
I see the point. It's about attracting people who believe what you believe, building trust from that shared belief.
And that trust is huge. Sinek gives the example of Gordon Bethune, the guy who turned around Continental Airlines. They were a mess. Morale was low.
Sounds rough.
It was. But he focused on actually caring for the employees, removed all the fancy executive perks, tied bonuses to everyone's performance, stuff like that. He showed he actually cared and people responded. Trust was rebuilt. The company turned around.
Powerful example. It's about actions speaking louder than words, right?
Absolutely. Like, remember that crazy ad for Shackleton's Antarctic expedition? It was like, dangerous journey, low pay, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition if we succeed.
That's intense.
He wasn't just looking for skilled sailors. He wanted people driven by something more, something bigger than themselves. And he found them. That shared belief, that WHY, it helped them survive.
Makes you think, huh? So how about another example of WHY versus what?
Oh, definitely. The race to powered flight. The Wright brothers versus Samuel Langley. Langley had tons of funding, was obsessed with being first, the fame, the fortune, all about the what. The Wright brothers. They truly believed in the power of flight itself. Their passion inspired their team. They struggled, they persevered, and they changed the world. Langley, once they'd flown, he just gave up. No deeper WHY driving him.
So a strong WHY, that's where real innovation comes from, not just checking off tasks, but believing in something.
Exactly. Remember Southwest's 10-minute turnaround time? They developed it during a crisis, and it became their trademark. It wasn't just about efficiency. It was about their employees coming together, believing they could overcome a challenge. That's powerful.
So if you lose sight of your WHY, things can fall apart pretty quickly.
Definitely. Look at Barings Bank. They went down because of risky bets, individual ambition, all that, lost their sense of purpose, their WHY, and trust evaporated. Sinek argues trust is more important than just being good at what you do. We're more likely to trust a recommendation from someone we believe in than some statistic or expert opinion.
That's a good point. So if all this is about inspiring belief, how does that translate to like mass success? How does an idea or a movement really take off?
Well, Sinek talks about the law of diffusion of innovations. It's that bell curve thing. You've got your innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, late majority, and finally, the laggards. The key is to reach that tipping point, which usually happens when you capture those early adopters, about 15 to 18% of the market.
Okay, I follow. But what makes those early adopters tick?
They're not swayed by specs or features. They buy into the WHY. They see the vision, feel the belief behind it. They trust their gut and make decisions based on what resonates with their own values.
So you're saying it's an emotional connection, not a logical one.
It's both, but the emotion comes first. Think TiVo. They had this groundbreaking product, but they marketed it on features like personal video recording. They didn't connect with that deeper desire for control, for personalized entertainment.
Whereas, say, the Civil Rights Movement, it was all about the WHY.
Exactly. Dr. King, his message of equality resonated with those early adopters, those who believed in that vision. They spread the message, and it became a movement. People weren't just following policies, they were following a belief, a vision of a better world.
Powerful stuff. So we've talked about the WHY, but what about the people behind it all? Who makes it happen?
That's where Sinek differentiates between WHY types and HO types. You need both. WHY types, they're the visionaries. They have the big ideas, the inspiring purpose, but they might not be the best at making it happen. That's where HOW types come in.
The builders.
Exactly. They build the systems, the processes that make the vision real. Many entrepreneurs are actually HOW types. They love to create, to build. The best organizations have both, a visionary leader and a team of builders who believe in that vision and can make it happen.
And the whole organization becomes like a megaphone amplifying that WHY.
Exactly. But the message needs to be clear. You can't just shout louder if your WHY isn't clear. Like, Oprah giving away cars, it's a spectacle, but does it really make you believe in that car brand? Probably not. What matters is authenticity. Say it only if you believe it. Your actions need to match your words.
Walk the walk. Right. Do you have an example of that in action?
Ron Bruder, for example. He does all sorts of stuff, from revitalizing those abandoned industrial areas, brownfields, I think they're called, to starting a foundation for job training. Different fields, different approaches, but his WHY, it's consistent. Finding potential, creating opportunity.
So a clear WHY guides everything you do.
It's like a filter for decisions. Sinek calls it the celery test. If something doesn't align with your WHY, it'll throw you off. Like, remember when Volkswagen tried to launch a luxury car, the Phaeton? It totally flopped.
What was wrong with it?
They were known for the people's car. Affordable, reliable. A luxury car just didn't fit their WHY. Toyota and Honda, they created separate brands, Lexus and Acura, for their luxury models. That way, it didn't clash with their main brand identity.
Clever. So understanding your WHY is essential for long-term success.
Definitely. Think about Walmart. Sam Walton, their founder, he was all about serving people, offering value. That was their WHY. But after he passed, things shifted. They lost sight of that WHY and ran into all sorts of problems. Look at Costco, though. They treat their employees well, customers love them, and they rarely even advertise. Their WHY is strong.
Fascinating. So without that clear WHY, what you do might just not mean as much, right? It won't resonate with people on that deeper level.
Exactly. Apple, they keep coming back to that same WHY, empowering individuals, and it works.
So what about Sinek himself? How did he come up with all this start with why stuff?
Well, he actually shares his own story in the book. Early on, he was a consultant, focused on the what and how, the mechanics of business. He was successful but burned out. He felt like a fraud. And then he started looking at all these inspiring companies, and he saw that common thread, the WHY.
So he was living proof of his own theory.
In a way, yeah. And he tells this great story about a runner named Ben. Ben always finishes last, but he inspires everyone to keep running with him. See, Ben's not competing with anyone else. He's competing with himself.
He's got his own internal WHY.
Exactly. And people connect with that. It's not about beating others. It's about being driven by something deeper. That's what those truly great organizations do. They stay connected to their WHY year after year.
So it's not just a feel-good idea. It's a fundamental principle. Leading with your WHY, whether you're running a company, a team, or even just your own life, it makes all the difference.
Knowing your WHY, it helps you make better decisions, understand people better, connect with them on a whole other level.
It's something to think about, right? What's your WHY? What do you believe in? And how does that affect your choices, the organizations you support, everything? What's your celery test?
Lots to ponder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.